Hello, my first grade class. Today we are going to be reading Enemy Pie, and we're going to be working on a graphic organizer together about the book. So I've prepared two graphic organizers for you guys today. A main idea one with 3 supporting details, as well as a little flower one, which incorporates topic sentences and topics and supporting details. Enemy Pie by Derek Munson. It was all good until Jeremy Ross moved into the neighborhood, right next door to my best friend Stanley. I did not like Jeremy Ross. He laughed at me when he struck me out in a baseball game. He had a party on his trampoline and I wasn't even invited. But my best friend Stanley was. Have you guys ever been through that situation? How does that make you feel when you're disincluded from playing on the playground or going to your friend's house? It's not a good feeling, huh? Jeremy Ross was the one and only person on my enemy list. I never even had an enemy list until he moved into the neighborhood. But as soon as he came along, I needed one. I hung it up in the treehouse where Jeremy Ross was not allowed to go. After seeing the image and me reading that to you, do you guys have any predictions on what's going to happen in the book? Yeah, it looks like he has an enemy. So maybe the book will be about his enemy. Dad understood stuff like enemies. He told me that when he was my age, he had enemies too, but he knew of a way to get rid of them. I asked him to tell me how. Tell you how? I'll show you how, he said. He pulled a really old recipe book off the kitchen shelf. Inside, there was a worn-out scrap of paper with faded writing. Dad held it up and squinted at it. Enemy pie, he said, satisfied. Any more predictions on what's gonna happen? Yeah, it looks like they're going to make an enemy pie for Jeremy Ross. Do you think that's going to draw Jeremy Ross away? I climbed up ahead of him and tore the enemy list off the wall. I had a checkerboard and some cards in the treehouse, and we played games until my dad called us down for dinner. We pretended we didn't hear him, and when he came out to get us, we tried to hide from him, but somehow he found us. So don't we remember him putting the paper in the treehouse, saying that Jeremy Ross was not allowed because he was his number one and only enemy? Looks like they're playing in the treehouse now. So maybe, is there a prediction that maybe they could be friends now? Dad dished up the 3 plates side by side with big pieces of pie and giant scoops of ice cream. He passed one to me and one to Jeremy. Wow, Jeremy said, looking at the pie. My dad never makes pies like this. It was at this point that I panicked. I didn't want Jeremy to eat the enemy pie. He was my friend. I couldn't let him eat it. Jeremy, don't eat it. It's a bad pie. I think it's poisonous or something. Jeremy's fork stopped before reaching his mouth. He crumbled his eyebrows and looked at me funny. I felt relieved. I had saved his life. I was a hero. If it's so bad, Jeremy asked, then why has your dad already eaten half of it? I turned to look at my dad. Sure enough, he was eating enemy pie. Good stuff, he mumbled through a mouthful. And that was all he said. I sat there watching them eat enemy pie for a few seconds. Dad was laughing, Jeremy was happily eating, and neither of them was losing any hair. It seemed safe enough, so I took a tiny taste. Enemy pie was delicious. So from that little bit, do we gather that maybe his dad made up the story? After dessert, Jeremy rode his bike home, but not before inviting me over to play on his trampoline in the morning. He said he'd teach me how to flip. As for enemy pie, I still don't know how to make it. I still wonder if enemies really do hate it, or if their hair falls out, or if their breath turns bad. But I don't know if I'll ever get an answer, because I just lost my best enemy. So from that, we can conclude that they are friends now, right? Yeah, because he says he lost his best enemy. So I have 2 different graphic organizers we're going to be filling out as a class. So what do you guys think the main idea of the text was? Enemies can turn into friends? Yeah, that's a good one. What are 2 main supporting details for enemies turning into friends? When they jumped on the trampoline together? What's another one? When they were in the treehouse and he ripped the paper off of the wall that said Jeremy Ross was his enemy and he wasn't allowed in there. And the last sentence when he says he loses his best enemy. Those are really good ones, guys. So I think we can all agree that the main idea was enemies can turn into friends. And our 3 supporting ideas is the quote, loses his best enemy at the end of the story. When they were in the treehouse and he ripped the enemy paper off of the wall that said Jeremy Ross was his biggest enemy. And then our last one was when they jumped on the trampoline together. Okay, so our other one is going to be talking about a topic. So it's going to be very similar to the one we just did, except instead of a main idea, we're going to be focusing on a specific topic. So what topic do you guys want to focus on? You want to focus on enemies? What are some details that they might have been enemies in the story? Jeremy didn't invite him to his birthday. That's a really good one. What's another one? He asks his dad to make enemy pie, wants it to make his hair fall out and there to be worms and bad breath and stuff. Yeah, that's a really good one because you would only want your enemies to eat something like that, right? Okay, so the last detail could be that he doesn't want to play at all with Jeremy when he goes to his door. Yeah, that's a really good one. So putting all of those together, what would our topic sentence be? A topic sentence is basically a sentence about the topic. So remember, our topic was enemies, right? So what would we say? You don't want to be around your enemy? Yeah. All right, good job, guys. We easily filled those out after reading the text. I think you guys did a really good job.